Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session of Morphology of Flowering Plants, Part 1. So, in today's lecture, we are going to cover up the NCRT section, the root 5.1, and the stem part that is 5.2 from the NCRT. Disclaimer. Today's session learning objective are as follows. First one, to identify the main parts and the function of the roots and stems. Describe the different types of root system. What are the different types of root system we will see in today's lecture. And the third one is to understand the stem modification and their purposes, why the stems got modified, right? We see different types of modification. So that also we are going to cover up in today's lecture. Explain how roots and the stem transport the water and nutrients. So how the roots are helping in the transportation of the water and nutrients. Not only the roots, the stems are also involved in that. And recognize adaptations of roots and stems in the various environments, right? So we see the different adaptations of roots and stems in the different environments. So that also we are going to see in today's lecture. Index part, the root, that is the 5.1 section from the NCRT. Stem, 5.2 section. Then we will summarize today's lecture at the end. Then there will be some in-text question from the NCRT book. And some keynotes, very important. And there will be some practice question as well. So let us start today's session. So in previous chapter, as we recall, the plants are classified based on the morphological and other features, right? So basically, though in today's classification system, not only the morphological, whereas we follow the anatomical, we follow the biochemistry, cell biology, okay? Different branches of the biology are involved in the process of plants classification. And that we have seen, right? So what we are going to see today, morphology. We are going to study about the outer appearance of the plants, how the plants appear, how the plants roots look like, what are their modification, how the stem look like, what are their modification, leaves. We see the different types of leaves and why they got modified in such a way. That also we are going to see that. Higher plants like angiosperm show the fascinating structural diversity. So angiosperm shows the most of the structural diversity because this is one of the most advanced type of plant. We have studied about the bryophytes, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, right? These are not a higher group of plants. Sorry. These are the not the high group of plant, but this angiosperm, the flowering plant, right? And they show most of the structural diversity. And this is one of the reason that you find angiosperm everywhere. You find in the plains, you find in the valleys, you find on the mountain, hills, right? Even in the desert area, even in the extreme climatic conditions, right? So they are having the structural diversity, and that is why they are adapted to the different environment condition. Angiosperm have diverse external structure or morphology. So their morphology is not very fixed. So this is the only type of leaves or the types of leaves you will see today, the types of stems, the types of roots, and why they are having the different types of stems, different types of root, because they have to withstand in the different environmental conditions. Everywhere the environmental condition is different. You see the mangroves plant. You see there are different types of roots, pneumatophores, the aerial roots, right? Prop roots, stilt roots. Why they are having such a form? Normally, there should be only one type of root, that is the that we see in the case of dicot or a monocot, taproot or the fibrous root. But still we see different types of modifications because they have to grow in a different environmental condition. So we will see the morphological structures of the different types of plants today, and basically the angiosperms. So in angiosperm share the common feature. So these things are present in almost every angiosperm. Every angiosperm plants must have roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits, right? So this we are going to study in the morphology of flowering plants one by one. So for better understanding, we classify them higher plants in accordance to standard definition and the technical terms, right? To classify organisms, we follow some of the technical definitions, standard definition, and some of the technical terms. Classification is also influenced by their, what is that? Their adaptation to the various environmental habitats, because plants have to get adapted in a different environmental condition or habitat, right? So they are influenced by that. Adaptation to the variation in their structure of protection, climbing, storage of the nutrients and water. You will see that different plants are having the different climbing ability. They are having different structure for their protection. Every plant do not require any protection. But yes, some of the plants do require the protection because they are easily browsed by the animals. So that they could protect them, they give rise spines. They give rise spines or thorns, as we see in the case of bougainvillea plant, right? So this is one of the adaptation of that plant, that they want to protect themselves. That is why they are bearing those spines or thorns. Climbing. For climbing also, they are having tendrils. In some plants, you will see that they are having the stem tendrils. In some plant, they are having the leaf tendrils. In some plant, they are having the whole apical bud transformed into tendrils. As we see in the case of the tendril structure, if you remember pea plant is a very weak plant. So they bear some spring like structure that is like get attached to somewhat the things they are nearby, either any stem or any like a stem or twig. So in that way they want to stand erect. So whatever the support they get from the sideways, they take that support with the help of their tendrils and try to stand erect so that they could properly get the sunlight and they can do their process of photosynthesis, right? Storage of nutrients and water. Every organism is having a different storage. You eat fruits, you eat seeds, you eat roots, you eat stems. So different plants are having their own storage organ, right? Like in the case of carrot and radish, the root is the storage organ. In the case of sugarcane, the stem is the storage organ. In the case of spinach, what is the storage organ? Leaves. They store their food material in the leaves. In the case of cabbage, cabbage, cauliflower, what is the storage food material? And all those storage food material is consumed by the human then, right? So we see different types of adaptation in the plants. Here you can see some of the adaptation. Some are having like in the case of carrot, you can see the taproot is having the storage organ, right? Uh, there are some hairs like a structure on the surface of the leaves in some of the leaves, hair like a structure. All that we are going to see that. So there are variations in the adaptation. All the plants do not follow only one type of adaptation. If you remember the insectivorous plant, one of the insectivorous plants, Nepenthes plant. Nepenthes plant is having a, or commonly it is called as pitcher plant also. Pitcher plant. It is an insectivorous plant. It eats insects. Beside, it can do the process of photosynthesis. It can do the process of photosynthesis because they are green in color. They do possesses the chlorophyll, but they eat insects. They eat insects because they are growing in a nitrogen deficient soil. They are growing in the nitrogen deficient soil. So who is going to fulfill their nitrogen requirement? So they got an adaptation that they synthesize some of the enzymes or the chemicals inside their pitcher like shape of their lamina. This is the modification of their lamina part of the leaf. Hmm? So do you see such type of adaptation in every plant? No, we do not see such type of adaptation in every plant. Only some of the plant, like the plant that grow in the nitrogen deficient soil, they generally becomes the insectivorous plant. They started eating insects so that they could fulfill their nitrogen requirement. They may be bearing the flowers and fruits. Okay, we see in the case of angiosperm that they bear the flowers and fruits, and every fruits and flowers are also again not the same, right? Now the plant is divided into two parts. If you see the whole plant, like in this figure you can see, this is the one of the mustard plant. What you see below the ground there is a root system. There is a root system, and in this root system there is one main root that is called as a primary root, and from this primary root there are many branches of the roots arises, that is called as the secondary roots, right? That is called as the secondary roots. If you see the shoot part, that is the part that is present above the ground. What do you see? It is having the stem structure. The stem is divided into nodes and internodes, right? And from every node you see there is a leaf like structure. Okay, it is not a leaf like structure, it is actually the leaf only. So you can see the leaf, and in this axil of the stem and the leaf there are axillary buds. You can see these are the buds, axillary buds, that can give rise a new branch. This bud can give rise a new branch. Okay, now you can see the flowers as well. There are different flowers, and the flowers are having the male and female reproductive organ. When there is a process of fertilization, they forms the fruit. And which part of the flower forms the fruit? The ovary. Ovary transformed into the fruit. So this is the shoot system. This is the shoot system. And in the shoot system, the one main important thing is going on. That is, they can make their own food. They can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. And for there is a requirement of raw material for the process of photosynthesis. So what are the raw material? Water. Water is one of the raw material. Water is one of the raw material. The second raw material is the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. These are the two raw material. Now, two things are also very important. In the presence of those two things, only this raw material transformed into the carbohydrates. And what are those two? Those two things presence is important. The chlorophyll, presence of chlorophyll, and sunlight. Presence of chlorophyll and sunlight. The chlorophyll present in the chloroplast. You all know that, right? So this root system and shoot system both are dependent on each other. The shoot system can make by the process of photosynthesis, they can make their own food, and that food is transferred to the root also, because root cannot make their own food. So that food is transferred to the root also, right? So two things we have seen here: root that is present below the ground, and the shoot system that is above the ground. Now we will study about the roots in detail. The most dicot plant, the radical develops into the primary root which grows inside the soil. Now, before jumping to this primary root, I just want to emphasize on the two different types of angiosperms. The two different types of angiosperm, that is the dicot and monocot. As the name itself suggests, di means two, cot means cotyledon. So the two cotyledons are there. And there is another type of angiosperm that is called as monocot. Mono means one and cot means cotyledon. So monocotyledon, one cotyledonous plant. There are some other features on the basis of which you can say that this is the monocot or dicot. Just by seeing the roots, you can say that whether this plant is a dicot or a monocot. If the plant is having one main root, primary root as a main root, and that is called as tap root. That is called as tap root. So dicot is always having a tap root system. Okay, and monocot also in the starting the seeds get germinated. When the seed get germinated, they are also having the tap root, right? But this tap root, after the plant get established, it get degenerated, and from the base of the plant many root emerges out, okay, and at the same level. So that root is called as fibrous root. Why? Can you think about why they are having the fibrous root? Why this uh monocot is not having the tap root system? The answer of this question is the fibrous root stems are not very strong. They are not having very strong roots. They are having their stem, if you see, they are weak stem, and they require many fibrous type of roots so that these weak plants get established in the soil. So if only one single root will be there, then plant will not get established in the soil, that weak plant. If, for example, you can take the example of wheat and rice plant. Hmm? So they are having the fibrous roots. Coming back to this, in most dicot plant, the radical develops into the primary root which grows inside the soil. So in the case of dicot, the radical forms the primary root, whereas in the case of monocot, the radical initially it is forming the root, but later on, once the plant get established, the roots get degenerated and many roots emerges from the base of the plant. So the it bears the lateral roots of the several orders that are refers to the secondary or the tertiary roots. Okay, so there are different levels of the roots. Lateral roots of the different orders. Primary root, there is one primary root, then from the primary root there comes the secondary roots, then there is a third order, that is the tertiary roots, and so on, right? So there are different orders of the roots. So here you can see the primary and the secondary root here in this figure. Now we will talk about the types of roots. The roots are classified into various types: tap root, fibrous root. You can see the adventitious root. In the case of adventitious roots, we are having the prop root and the stilt root. Then we are having one very different types of root that is called as pneumatophores. So here you can see the different types of root figure. You can see the fibrous root system. Okay, the second one, the fibrous. This is the carrot showing the tap root system. Okay, then we are having the prop roots. Okay, in the form of like there are the two adventitious root system. One adventitious root system. A very common example of this is a money plant. When you see the money plant, you can see from the nodes of the stem, many small roots emerges out. So that is the adventitious roots. Okay, supporting roots. And here you can see the prop roots is also one of the you can say the supporting root, and it is a type of adventitious root. It is a type of adventitious root. So this is like different types of roots. Okay, the tap root, fibrous root, adventitious roots. Okay, and one very special one, that is the pneumatophore. So all we are going to study in detail today. The first one, that is the types of root. The primary root and its branches constitute the taproot system. The first one is the taproot system. The primary root transformed into the taproot. So example, roots of the mustard plant. This is one of the example of the taproot system. This is one of the example of the taproot, mustard plant, and the figure was also the mustard plant only. So here you can see this is the one main root, and you can see many different roots emerges out. Okay, the first order, and from this also you can see the lateral, the third order root is also coming, right? A tap root is a large central root that grows vertically downward. This tap root always grows to downward. It is a large, and this is the central root. This is the large and the central root. Central root means that is the main root. The tap root is the large and it is the main root. You can see the primary roots in the case of the dicot that transformed into the tap root, that is quite a thicker. It is a thicker central, and basically it is the main root in the this taproot system, and it always grow vertically downward. So it is geotropic phenomena it is showing, positively attracted towards the gravity. It is growing downward. Now the types of taproot system includes, so there are different taproot also. Let us see that the different taproot. All are taproot here. The fusiform root that you see in the case of radish. If you see the radish root, it is the shape of it is called as a fusiform. If you see the turnip in Hindi we call it shalgam. So this is the napiform root. Now there is another root that is called as carrot root. The shape of the carrot root is conical in shape, cone in shape. So it is called conical. And we are having the tuberous root. The root is in the form of tuber. It is in the form of tuber, as we see in the case of mirabilis, or sweet potato is another example. Now let us see in the table. The first one, conical example is the carrot. What is the function of it? This carrot stores food material, and that is why we consume carrot in our food. The second one, the shape is the fusiform root of radish. So fusiform type of root we see in the case of radish. Storage and absorption. It is stored the food material. Radish store all the food material in its root only. And that is why the roots become very swollen. And that is why we consume it roots, right? It is also helping the process of absorption of the water from the root. In fact, every root, whether it is a carrot, radish, turnip, sweet potato, every root is absorbing the water and providing to the shoot system so that shoot can do the process of photosynthesis, right? So every root is storing the food material, but their shape are different, right? Napiform, turnip is also consumed as a food because it stores the food material. Tuberous, sweet potato, storage. Its main function is to storage. Do the all roots do the process of storage of food material? What about the mustard? Is mustard is consumed as a food? It is stored food material in it? No. Mustard is not storing the food in its root. Mustard is storing food in the seeds. And that is why we consume the mustard seed in our food material. We take out oil from that, right? So it doesn't mean that every root is going to store their food material in the roots only. Different plant is having different storage organ. But here, the carrot, radish, turnip, sweet potato, mirabilis, all are having the root as their storage food material, storage part. Mustard root, then what is the function of the mustard root? It provides anchorage to the soil. It absorbs the nutrient from the soil. It absorbs water from the soil, and all that nutrient that is present in the soil, it's get to the plant. It is available to the plant via this roots only. So it doesn't mean that only these plants are having the like having the function. No, every plant is having their roots importance as they absorb the nutrient from the soil, as they absorb the water from the soil. Beside absorbing water and nutrient, these are some of the plants that can store the food material, and that is why these are used as a food in humans, by humans. In monocotyledonous plant, the primary root is short leaf. See, the primary root is there. The primary root is there, but it is very short lived, and it is replaced by large number of roots. Large number of roots. So from the base of the plant, once this primary root get degenerated from the base of the plant, many roots emerges out. Okay, large numbers of root emerges out. So these roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system, right? So when the large number of root emerges out from the base of the plant, that forms the fibrous root system. Examples, roots of wheat, not only the wheat, we are having the rice, we are having the maize, okay? All are having this fibrous root system. Here you can see the fibrous root system. Many roots emerges from the base of the plant. Now in some plant, the root arise from the parts of the plant other than the radicle, which are known as adventitious roots. It means that generally the root arises from the radicle. The root is formed from the radical part only. But in a grown plant, in a well-grown plant, you see at some point, different parts of the plant start giving roots, right? So that root is called as adventitious root. You see sometimes the stems is giving right roots. You see sometimes of leaves are giving right roots, right? So that is not the main root. That is the adventitious roots. So that is why it is mentioned here. Other than radical. Other than radical. So that is called as adventitious roots. Example, roots of grass, monstera, and the banyan tree. Banyan tree. These are having the adventitious types of roots. Here you can see. You can see this is one plant, and from here another plant, and here you can see many adventitious roots are emerging out. Here you can see this is the adventitious roots. In money plant also you can see that. Now types of adventitious roots. Adventitious root basically provides support. So mostly you see in the climbers, the money plant is a climber. They are having the stem is very delicate. They are not woody. They have to climb. Why a plant always try to climb? Why they are always going upward? Why they are not creeping on the ground? Hmm? They want to go upward so that they could get proper sunlight. But their branches are weak. Then what they can do? They can they can form some adventitious roots. This adventitious roots not only provide support, it get attached to some of the support. Sometimes they get attached to the walls. These adventitious roots sometimes they get attached to the walls and help the plants to climb upwards, right? Prop roots. One of the adventitious root is the prop root. Yes, the creepers, the creepers want to creep on the land. They want to creep on the land, and they also sometimes give rise the adventitious. If you see the creepers, their leaves are specially modified. You can't see the stem of that. The creepers leaves are so broad and they are always upward so that they could get the proper sunlight, and their leaves are broader, and such a and their numbers are also more. And below these leaves there are stems, but you cannot see the stems. Why? Because the leaves are broader. And why the leaves are broader? Because they have to capture more and more sunlight so that they can do the process of photosynthesis in a full-fledged, right? So see, every plant is, why not this money plant is having a very broader type of leaves. Hmm? They are having the small leaves, but yes, there are some species of the money plant that are having the broader leaf as well. So the creepers are having the broader leaf as they could not follow. But the climbers, what about the climbers? The climbers are having a different modification. They are having the tendril system. They are having the supporting tendril system. So there is the modification, either the leaf or the stem part. But here we are studying about the prop roots, a type of adventitious root. Prop roots are the adventitious root that grow from the branches or the stem above the ground. They are growing above the ground, extending downward to support the plant. So from the branches, roots are coming out and they are hanging downward. Sometimes they could reach to the ground also, and they get attached to the ground. Example, prop roots in bananas, corn, and mangroves. These roots provide additional stability, especially in the soft soil or the waterlogged condition. Okay. So, because the banyan tree, sometimes you must have seen in the banyan tree is having a very, very strong branches, big branches. Okay. They are having a very big branches. So these big branches can droop down if the support is not there. So these prop roots coming from the branches, and reaches to the ground, right? And they provide support to these branches, the big branches. So these roots provide additional stability, especially in the soft soils or the waterlogged condition, where the water is like get logged off. Okay, they get collected. So there these roots provide protection and support. They also helps absorb nutrient and moisture from the air. These, if you see the tip of the adventitious root, they are having a very special type of tissue that is called as velamen tissue. Okay, these are called as velamen tissue, and these velamen tissue, they can absorb the hygroscopic water from the air. The water that is present in the air in the form of water vapor, it is also called hygroscopic water. So that water get absorbed by these velamen tissue that are present at the adventitious root tip. Okay, so that is why it is mentioned here. They also help absorb nutrients and moisture from the air. So here you can see this is the one of the banyan tree. And in the banyan tree, you can see from the big branches, many roots, aerial roots are coming downward, right? So these are called as prop roots. Types of adventitious roots includes stilt roots. Stilt roots are specialized aerial roots growing down from the tree trunk branches to the soil, and they act extra support to the anchor for the trees. Examples: stilt root of the mangroves and the tropical species. They help trees survive in the wet, unstable soil conditions. So here you can see, this is one of the maize plant. And from the maize plant, you can see these are the nodal region from where the roots is coming. And what they do, these stilt root emerges from here and go to the ground, and they get attached to the ground. So in this way, they try to make the plant erect at where they are. So they are providing extra support and anchorage to the trees, to the ground. Otherwise, because these plants are so big and they are monocot plant, the stem is not woody, right? So they can droop down. But because of this supporting root, this is called as stilt root, right? They provide support. Such type of stilt root we see in the case of mangroves and tropical species. So this is one of the tropical species, maize plant. So it helps trees to survive in a wet or unstable soil conditions. Types of adventitious roots includes pneumatophores. This is also again one of the adventitious roots, pneumatophores. Pneumatophores are upward growing aerial roots, negative geotropism phenomena. The roots generally go downward. It is attracted toward the gravity. But here the root is moving upward direction, growing towards the upward aerial roots, and they are having small holes in it, right? So those holes are what? Pneumatophores. Okay. So from there they can absorb the hygroscopic water, right? So they help plant breathe in the waterlogged areas. Breathe in the waterlogged, because that the water is salt, lot of salt in it. So that water they cannot absorb, right? So not only they absorb the water, they are the aerial roots, they help in breathing of the plants. Contain lenticels. They contain lenticels, pores for the gas exchange. Enable survival in the oxygen poor environment. So one thing is very important to know about the lenticels. Okay. So you must have heard about the stomata that are present on the leaves, but small holes that are present on the, like these are the pneumatophores here, or on the wall of the fruits, or on the bark of the stem. Okay, those small holes are called as lenticels, and they are also meant for the gases exchange. So here you can see the pneumatophores in the mangroves. Functions of the root. So the main functions of the root, they are helping in the absorption of water and mineral from the soil. You all know that. Providing a proper anchorage. This is not only helping in the water absorption or the minerals, but they also provide a proper anchorage the plants to the soil. Storing reserve food material. This reserve food material, just now we have seen there are different roots that store the food material. Synthesis of plant growth regulators. Many plant hormones are synthesized in the roots only. So this is also one of the functions of the roots. So here you can see the aerial roots provide additional support to the trees, prevent soil erosion. Yes, they help in the stopping the soil erosion. Absorbs water and minerals. Synthesis cytokinin. Cytokinin, this is the name of the hormone. That is why it is mentioned here. The synthesis of plant growth regulators. It provides anchorage, and roots of the leguminous plant harbor the nitrogen fixing bacteria. So there it is helping in the process of nitrogen fixation as well. So these are some of the functions are very specific. They are confined to one or the two types of roots only, right? Yes, the cytokinesis provide the cell division, promotes the cell division. Regions of the root. So located at the tap root. So thimble-like protective covering. This is the root tip. The root tip, there is a presence of root cap, and that guards the tender root apex because the root is continuously moving downward. So this root cap is protecting the root tip so that with the this there is a lot of friction. So with the friction, the roots do not get damaged. So here you can see the root cap is there. Okay, this is the root hairs, and this is the region of maturation. Just below the region of maturation, there is a region of elongation. And the main region, this is just above the root cap, there is a region of meristematic activity. So here the roots get continuously divided. Once they get divided, they go to the region of elongation. They shifted towards the region of elongation. The cells get elongated and matured. Once they get matured, they give rise root hairs. So these root hairs are going to help in the process of water and mineral absorption. Meristematic region. Just above the root cap, they are present and they contain small thin-walled cells with a dense cytoplasm. So this is showing the meristematic activity. Continuously they are in the dividing phase. Active cell division occur here. So this region, a very small region, that is the region of meristematic activity. Region of elongation. Above the meristematic region, there is a region of elongation. Cells rapidly elongate and enlarge there, and responsible for the root length growth. So once they get elongated, they are helping in the growth of the root. So this is the region of elongation, you can see. Next is the region of maturation. Uppermost, that is having the root hairs. So cells fully differentiated. Once they get differentiated in the maturation region, they shifted towards the, because every time the cells is dividing, so the new cells are added and they get shifted upward. So they contains the root hairs, and these are the thread-like extension of the epidermal cells. Functions. What is the function of these thread-like extensions of the epidermal cell? To absorb the water and minerals. So this is the region where the water and minerals get absorbed. Nodes and internodes of the stem. The stem is ascending part of the axis bearing the branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. So we are going to study about the stem now. And the stem is having two regions, nodes region and internode region, right? So where you see the leaves, the flowers and fruits on the stem part, right? It develops from the plumule. So the plumule part, when the seed is germinating, it first of all give rise the radical part that forms the root, and there is a plumule region. So plumule develops the shoot system, and that bears the stem, and stem is having the two parts, nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where the leaves are born are called as nodes. So wherever you see at the stem part, there is one ring-like structure. At that particular point only the leaves are attached. So that part is called as nodal region or the nodes. In between the two nodes, what is present? Internodes, right? Internode. You will never find the leaves attached to the internode. The leaves are always attached to the nodal region. So here you can see this is the leaf, this is the another leaf. In between the two leaf, there is a internode. So here it also you see the internode. Buds in stem. The stem bears the buds, which may be terminal or axillary. Okay, and if it is bearing the buds at the apex of the stem, at the top of the stem, then it is called as terminal bud. Okay, terminal bud or axillary bud. Axillary bud is one that is present in the axil of stem and leaves. There is an angle between the stem and leaves. In between that angle, there is an axillary bud. So stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. So initially every stem is green in color, but as it grows slowly and slowly it become brown, woody and dark brown. So here again you can see the apical bud or the terminal bud here at the present at the apex, and in between the stem and the leaves there is an axillary bud. Now function of a stem: support branch, leaves, flowers and fruits. All are attached to the this stem only. So they get support from this stem. Transport water, minerals and food. They are helping in the transportation of water, minerals and food material, because in the stem only they are having the vascular bundle, right? So this stem is helping from inside. There is a channel of vascular bundle, right? Vascular tissue. So that is transporting the water material, water, okay, and also the food material. Stores food reserve. Some of the stem stores the food material. The very good example is the sugarcane and the potato. That is a tuberous type of stem. Provides structural support. Offer offers protection also, and enable vegetative reproduction. In some of the plant, they follow the vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction we see in the case of rose plant. Yes, rose plant. You cut the cutting of the rose stem, and from this that stem part a new leaves emerges out, right? So vegetative reproduction they are helping. Now here you can see the conduction of water and minerals from the stem. The water is absorbed from the root, it is conducted upward. And there what happened in the process of photosynthesis, they make the food material. So that food material is not only required by the leaves, it is required by the every part of the plant. The part of the plant that are not involved in the process of photosynthesis, the stem part, the root part, they also require the food. So from the phloem, it is transported downward, right? Now we will have a summary of today's lecture. Roots anchor the plant and absorb the water and minerals. The types: taproot, single main, and the fibrous root that are branched sometime. Parts: root cap, meristematic zone, elongation zone, maturation zone, that we have already seen. And they can store food material. Okay, some of the roots are involved in the process of storage of food material. They may have modified forms for the specialized function. So many of the roots are modified for their specialized function, like pneumatophores. This is the one of the very special function of the pneumatophores type of roots. Stem, they connect to roots to the leaves, okay, and they supports the plant structure, because without this stem, can you imagine there is a shoot system? No. So shoot system base is the this stem only, and through this stem only all the branches, leaves, fruits, flowers, all are attached to it. They contain xylem, that is the water transport system, and the phloem, that is the food transport system. Enable vertical growth and bears leaves and branches as well. They can store food and perform the photosynthesis, right? So this we have already covered all that. They can store the food material, they can perform the process of photosynthesis. This, if you remember, the rhizome, that is ginger, turmeric, these are some of the stem, underground stem, that stores the food material in it. A very good example, underground tuber, that is the potato, that is again a stem, right? So there are many stem, that stores the food material. So they may have modified forms for the specialized function as well. Now we are having some in-text question, that is from the NCERT book only. So first one, what are the features that distinguish stem from a root? How you can distinguish stem from a root? Let us see the answer. This was our question. So key feature distinguishing stem from roots. So here you can see characteristic feature, location, stem. It is present above the ground, root is present below the ground. Color, usually green, usually brown or white. Functions, support leaves, transport material, photosynthesis. And what is the function of root? Absorption of water and mineral. Yes, they absorb the water and mineral. They also help in the anchorage of the the plants to the soil and help in the storage of food material in some of the plants, not every plant. Structures, they have nodes and internodes. If you see the structure of stem, what you can see, the stem is having the two parts, nodes and internodes. They also give rise buds and leaves from this nodal region only, never from the internodal region. Roots, they have root cap, root hairs, and they do not have any leaves. Growth, grow towards light and they grow towards the gravity, right? So they grow towards the light means upward, negative geotropism. Negative geotropism, but positive phototropism. Grow towards gravity, positive geotropism, but negative phototropism. Yes. Internal structure, vascular bundle arranged in a ring form. Here, the vascular bundles are in the center only. So anatomically, they are very, very different. We will see this in the when we will study about the anatomy of flowering plants. Chlorophyll, stem usually present, but roots are not having any chlorophyll. Key features distinguishing from the stems from the roots. Okay, this we have already discussed. Next question, describe the different modifications of root with their example. Let us see the answer of this question. Roots can undergo various modifications to perform the specialized functions beyond water and nutrient absorption. So here are the main types of root modification. Let us see the modification of roots. Storage root, yes, carrot, turnip, dahlia, these are the examples. Asparagus is also, and asparagus are eaten also, their stem part, right? So storage roots. Supporting roots. Prop roots, we see in the case of maize, sugarcane and banyan. These are the some of the plants in which we see the prop root as a supporting root. Still root, corn, pandanus, mangrove plant. Breathing roots, pneumatophore, that you see in the case of mangrove plants. Example, mangrove plants example, here you can see. Sometimes questions are asked from this, Avicennia, Soneratia and Heritaria. These are some of the examples. Climbing roots, examples, money plant, pepper, beetle, that is the pan. And parasitic roots, Hostoria, Cascota, Dodder, Vesicum, mistletoe. So these are parasitic root also. Roots can undergo various modifications. This we have already covered. Keynotes. Roots cap cells possesses starch grains that is called as gravy perception. Gravy perception. This is very, very important point, right? What is gravy perception? Actually, the root cap cells they possess starch grains and they play a very crucial role in the gravy perception. So this is the geotropic response. They are meant for sensing the gravity. They are meant for sensing the gravity, right? And these starch-filled plastids called any amyloplast. These are starch which is stored here. They are called as amyloplast and they act as a statolith. Statolith, it is a type of crystals. Okay, sedimenting to the lower side of the cell when the root's orientation changes. So this statolith always move downward and it helps the plant to grow downward, right? So that is coming the gravy perception, that is towards the gravity. Coralloid root is again like you see the pneumatophores, okay, negative geotropism phenomena is showing. this coralloid root is also move upward, right? It is again showing the negative geotropism. This is again one of the modification, a different modification. Modification in stem. So here you can see underground stem modification. We have seen rhizome, right? Examples are ginger, turmeric, and banana. Tuber. Examples, potato and dahlia. Form, very, very important, gladiolus and crocus. Hmm? You have eaten one vegetable is there, elephant foot. Elephant foot. In Hindi, we call it suran. That is also a type of corm. Jimikand. Bulb. Examples, onion and garlic. So these are the modification of stem. Now subaerial stem modification. Subaerial stem. Area. This is the underground modification of the stem. Subaerial. Stolon. Strawberry and grasses. Suckers. Mint and chrysanthemum. Offset. Water hyacinth and pistia. Okay. And we are having the aerial stem modification. Tendrils. This is the modification of stem. Tendrils. Grape, wine and cucumber. Thorns. Bougainvillea and citrus. Phylloclade. Opuntia. Stem transformed into leaves-like structure. And they bears spines or thorns. So phylloclade, that is called as phylloclade. We see the opuntia and Christmas cactus. Stem spine. Examples, Duranta and Carissa. Stem spine. The stem transformed into spines. Special modification, cladode. Example, asparagus and ruscus. Cladode. Bulbils. That we see in the case of agave and lily. Right? So these are the different stem modification, though it is not given in the NCERT book, but still these are very, very important. So you can study about this. We have a table here with the examples. Some interesting question that you are going to solve with your own. How do the root hairs enhance the efficiency of water absorption? Second, what is the main function of the plant stem? Why do some plants develop prop roots? Give examples. So why they are developing the plant prop roots? If they are developing, you have to give some examples as well. What is the main function of a plant stem? Okay. So this is all about today's lecture. We will meet again tomorrow, same time. So thank you very much for attending today's session.